insider trading regulations. When we talk of insider trading regulations, we are looking at certain laws that will prevent individuals who have access to certain confidential or sensitive information about the company from trading those information. So you know that companies are being run by people. Let's assume that I am operating a food uh, let me say a food processing company. I know their secret ingredients. I know what they put in their things for people to like. So I will have such a sensitive information about the company. Now, this insider trading regulation will prevent me from even trading what I know about the company to another person. So another legal one, which I have explained, that is the insider trading regulation, which prevents unfair market practices, as in it ensures that information of companies are not being traded for profit. It will also help maintain market integrity, meaning that it will protect the integrity of the financial markets by promoting transparency and fairness. Another legal aspect we can also talk of is the whistleblowers protection laws. Now, the whistleblower, we all know who a whistleblower is. Let's assume that we are group one company, and I've seen that maybe Madam Elizabeth is doing something which is not right. Now, I can report to our director, and according to this law, the whistleblower protection law, the law will prevent my director from disclosing my identity to Madam Elizabeth. So the whistleblower protection laws protect individuals who report wrongdoings or unethical behavior, so that when you see something which is not ethical happening in a company, you can report the person, but your identity will be protected. Now, this law is being done to encourage reporting. That is not you just get up and report. No, you make sure that you report basically wrongdoing or any unethical behavior happening in a company. So it will protect individuals who come forward to report such wrongdoing. It will also prevent retaliation, as in, since I have reported Madam Lizzie, and when maybe unfortunately my identity is disclosed to Madam Lizzie will also maybe in a week or two also find fault with me, then go and report. No, since your identity is preserved or is protected, it will prevent maybe the wrongdoer from also doing the same thing or reporting you for also doing maybe something that he presumes that you have done wrong, but you have not done anything. Then it also promotes accountability. That is, it ensures that organizations take full responsibility for addressing wrongdoings or reporting unethical behavior. Now, by when we protect whistleblowers, okay, these laws are there just to promote the culture of transparency, just to promote the culture of accountability and also integrity. Now, moving on from the legal aspect, let's come to the regulatory aspect. For the regulatory aspect, corporate governance, as we have explained, they are set of rules, they are practices and processes which, a company is directed or controlled. Now, when we talk of regulatory aspects, we are looking at certain bodies or certain things that will ensure that companies operate transparently, companies operate ethically, and in the best interest of their various stakeholders or their various publics. So with the regulatory body, we have in Ghana here, we have SEX, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission. We have the Corporate Governance Commission. Then we have the stock exchange. Now with the Corporate Security and Exchange Commission, that is SEC, they regulate securities markets and enforce securities law. And we have explained securities in terms of company as company finances. So you selling shares, you going for debenture, these security sex people are there to ensure that there is transparency, to ensure that you abide by the rules and regulations governing security law. Then we also have the Corporate Governance Commission. The Corporate Governance Commission, it's usually in certain countries where they have certain specific commissions or agencies that is responsible for corporate governance. So the Corporate Governance Commission, they have a framework or a guideline which every member or every corporate institution needs to follow. Then the stock exchange one that is, I mean, we have it in Ghana where it's often have listing rules that require companies to adhere to certain corporate governance standards, as in exchanging of stock and buying of stock and all that. Now, let's look at the roles of effective corporate governance. What are the rules? You know, for you to ensure that we have rules, the legal rules, the regulatory bodies, what are some of the roles of these corporate governance? We have looked at them for, I think, 3 weeks now. I will just mention one or two or three, then we continue. It helps us to comply by laws, that is compliance requirements of companies. And here, companies are being enforced to obey laws, regulations, and standards. It again provide a framework that outlines the roles and responsibilities of, companies are run by boards, managers, and various stakeholders. So this corporate governance will help outline the roles of these boards, the managers, and the stakeholders. Then it also helps when it comes to identification and mitigation of risks. I mean, it helps reduce the likelihood of corporate failures. I mean, when the sex people are in doing their work, when the whistleblowers, every law is doing what it's supposed to do. It will help reduce risks and also corporate failures. Then again, we have another role, which is the audit and assurance, where they are independent bodies which review companies' finances and making sure that the directors or the board, they don't squander the company's money. What are the benefits? As I've indicated, they help when it comes to transparency. That is, it enhances trust, making sure that people have confidence and they can invest. It also helps when it comes to better decision making. It protects the shareholders' right as well, and also enhance reputation. Now, when companies follow rules, when they follow what they are supposed to do, when they do the right thing, companies will have strong corporate governance practices. When they have strong corporate governance practices, it will attract more investors and various stakeholders too. What we are supposed to know is that effective corporate governance is very important when you want to maintain investors' confidence, when you want people to invest in your business. You need to practice effective corporate governance practices. Now, the key principles when it comes to corporate governance, we have discussed it as I indicated earlier. Accountability, which ensures that individuals are responsible for their actions. Whatever you do, you are responsible for your actions and your decisions. It also ensures transparency, where it provides clear and accurate and timely information for the various stakeholders. It also ensures fairness, where you treat everybody the same. You treat all stakeholders, you treat your employees and your customers fairly without any biases. Then also responsibility, where it ensures that you as a company or you operate in a responsible and sustainable manner. Then it ensures independency and integration as a whole. For the theories, we have looked at them, but I'll touch on only three. That is the agency theory, the stewardship theory, and the stakeholder. When we talk of agency theory, we are looking at, it focuses on the relationship between a principal, that is the one who has invested, the shareholders, those who have invested their money, the relationship between them and those agents. The agents are the managers here. Now, the agency theory ensures that managers act in the best interest of their shareholders. And the stewardship theory here, it is it all emphasizes that as stewards or managers are stewards, and if they are stewards of the company's resources, they need to ensure that they act responsibly and also in the best interest of the company. When we talk of the stakeholder theory, it recognizes interests of the various stakeholders, i.e. employees, customers, suppliers, and even the community where the company finds itself, and also encourages company to balance their needs of different stakeholders. So I will leave it here for my group members to also follow.
right, I'm sure that you send me your details right after in the order in which you presented. So thank you very much. You may continue.
Yeah, lawyer, good afternoon. Um, please,
And it,
in
I
view
hope
of
you are well.
yes, I'm continuing.
I hope you are fine. We heard you were unwell.
Yes, please. I'm quite better today.
Okay, very well. Kindly proceed.
Uh, yeah. So, in view of the explanations given above on the key principles of corporate governance by my sister, there need to be measures, principles, and actions to ensure the principles, that's the transparency, accountability, fairness, and ethical management in corporate governance. So we want to look at some of the measures or some of these principles. The first one is independent body. So there should be or there must be an independent body to maintain a diverse, skilled, and independent body. Yeah. So there should be a clear and separation of roles among the board. So if, for example, the duties or the roles of the chairperson should be clearly stated, and then that of the CEO should also be stated so that everybody will act accordingly as the roles are being spelled out. Then we also want to talk about risk management as one of the best practices in corporate governance. And under this, we are saying that there should be a strong audit committees and internal controls to identify and monitor and manage risk effectively, so that um, there will be easy accountability, and then when there is something going wrong as far as transparency is concerned, people will be able to be accounted for. Then we also have code of conduct. So in the code of conduct, we are saying that there must be a code of conduct must be developed and enforced to promote a culture of integrity and then compliance. So the code of conduct for the organization must be spelled out clearly for every employee or every member of the place of the organization, so that they will be able to act according to the ethics and conduct that the company or the organization has laid out. Then we also have stakeholder engagement. So consideration of the interests of all stakeholders, that is the employees, community, and the environment, both the internal and external environment of the organization must be put into consideration, and their interest as well, so that they need to hold regular meetings with them to address and know what their interests are, and also practicing of corporate social responsibility, that is CSR, so that what um the organization ought to do for the community when they hold meetings with them, regular ones with them, in consultations with them, and then they are able to know what they need, then they practice or they put those things in place, and then they are thereby practicing corporate social responsibility. So these are the um, practices or best practices in corporate governance. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Okay, please, we want to continue. As our sister earlier said, there are key principles of corporate governance, which she mentioned transparency, accountability, and the rest. But various companies face a lot of challenges when they are tasked to what? They are tasked to do right things for the company to achieve its set goals. And we'll look at some of the challenges in corporate governance. The first we want to talk about is the conflict of interest. With the conflict of interest, it is when somebody acts in their best interest, compromising their judgment. For example, a CEO who maybe would want some bonuses and other things, instead of acting for the best interest of the company, will conceal certain things in order to get, for example, a bonus, which is not in the right direction. So most managers and others work for their own interest of getting benefit instead of discharging their duties and working for the growth of the business. The next one we want to look at is lack of transparency. For lack of transparency, for example, let's say a manager will want to get some bonuses, but the business is not maybe doing so very well. So instead of letting the stakeholders, the shareholders, investors to know what exactly is happening in the business, they will have to conceal some crucial information, not giving out accurate and timely decisions that will benefit the company. And then they conceal all this in order for them to be able to assess their benefit. And it is a great challenge to corporate governance. As our sister said earlier on, there are regulatory bodies who are also supposed to see to the effective monitoring and regulating of some laws, and also look at standards through which the companies are to operate. But due to inaccurate oversight by regulatory bodies, they are also not able to do that. And that also becomes a great challenge to the companies. Okay, I'll leave it here for my brother to continue.
Good afternoon, lawyer and fellow colleagues. I will continue with unethical behavior with uh, our directors and most of the governing bodies. When I talk of the unethical behavior, I'm referring to the wrong or dishonest actions by people in the organization, such as being the directors, officers, or the employees. And such unethical behaviors may include giving or accepting bribes, misusing funds, hiding important information from shareholders, making decisions for personal gain instead of the company's benefits. These are some of the things that goes a long way to affect a business. That is when officers or those in charge of other positions think that maybe luring or luring the company for their personal interest, as my sister earlier on said.
Emmanuel, Emmanuel, can you hold on? Projecting. Former.
Dog, please, I'm doing it. I don't know. It just went off like that.
Very well. Very well. So, okay, Emmanuel, give us a minute. Give us a minute. Let's see if we can come
Okay,
on
Doc.
the slide. Yes. right. Any success, Oma?
Yes, it will appear very soon.
Very well. I'm grateful. All right, Emmanuel, please proceed.
Yeah, Doc. Hello, lawyer. Yeah, like I was saying now, I'm continuing with the challenges. My sister earlier on gave us uh, the first three, and I'm giving the last two of the challenges, which is unethical behavior. Unethical behavior by directors, officers, or employees. Yes, in most organizations, we find these problems which becomes a canker. Most of the times, you realize that some workers or the officers in charge misusing company funds. Sometimes there are certain funerals or programs in the weekend that they are not supposed to attend, but you realize they are using a company's fuel and the car, and they will tell you that they went here and they were. And in the end, you realize that they use it for their own personal gains rather than for the benefit or for the very best of the organization. And then when you look at another one, giving or accepting bribes. Yes, sometimes when you get to a certain organization, you realize that before you a work that you are duly to be given, or something that someone needs to give you the assistance without taking anything, not until you do something or you give them at least something in the form of monetary or whatever form, you wouldn't be receiving such an assistance. Then when we talk of the globalization, this challenge refers to the difficulty of managing corporate governance across different countries and cultures. For instance, different countries have business laws and ethical standards. Communication and coordination across borders can be difficult. Managing diverse teams with different values and expectations can be complex. This makes it more of a challenge to some organizations or in most organizations. I'll end here for my brother to also conclude for us.
Mr. Digrab,
Yes, please. Okay, my name is Digraft of Risapon. I will take the conclusion of our presentation of regulatory aspect of corporate governance. We first look at the introduction, legal aspect of corporate governance, regulatory aspect of corporate governance, key principle of corporate governance, best practices in corporate governance, challenges in corporate governance. I'll take the conclusion part. Corporate governance and business ethics are essential for ensuring that companies operate in a responsible and ethical manner. Companies must comply with laws and regulations, follow best practices, and prioritize ethics and integrity in their operations and activities. By exhibiting or doing so, they can build trust, accountability, transparency, honesty, and more importantly, service delivery or good service delivery. They also manage risks, hence achieving long-term service. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, all of you. Is it group one? So let me say that it was an interesting conversation. You did very well. And indeed, I saw the theories you used in buttressing the points in terms of the regulatory aspects of corporate governance. So that's good. Once this is the first time we have had a discussion, I would say that it's a very good effort. So having said that, Poma, I still await your index numbers.
Yes, lawyer, please, should I text you
Yes, as
on
always.
WhatsApp? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm doing it right now. According to our, as you
Yes,
said.
yes,
Okay. Thank you.
Poma, Elizabeth, Catherine, Emmanuel, and the graft.
Mr. Digraft, yes. I'm
Yes,
sending it right away.
very well. Okay, so are there any questions, comments, contributions from the house? Any at all? Questions, comments, contributions from the remaining members of the house? Okay, if not, I have a question, just one. Can any of you? Okay, I like that you projected your list. Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, but I'll still need the soft copy so that I can work with it. The question to you is, how different is the stewardship theory from the agency theory as it relates to regulating corporate governance within the spheres of a public space? Public space. How different is, what are the arguments that stewardship theory states? How is it opposed to the agency theory as we apply it to the public space and the regulatory aspects of corporate governance? Anyone at all? In terms of those who presented. So the floor is open. All right, if there is silence, then
No, there is no
Hello.
silence. Please, lawyer, take that
Hello,
question
Doc.
again.
Hello, Doc.
yes, Catherine, please proceed.
Yes, please. Please, the main differences for the agency, the person acts on behalf of, let's say, the principal, where they take orders, they take instructions, and then they do as they are instructed in order to achieve the set goal. But with the stewardship, the person makes the business as his or hers, and then is able to regulate, brings in activities or do things that will help the business to move forward without necessarily maybe working for, let's say, a remuneration, but they take it as their own and then work out with the long term, work out very well in order to achieve the set goals of the business. So the main difference is agency acts on behalf of what the owner, whilst the stewardship, they take the business as their own and act accordingly for the interest of the company. Thank you.
Yeah, Catherine, I would have given all what you have said. The last bit of it is what convinced me a little. The last, your conclusion really convinced me. The beginning part did not. And so I was about saying 1/10, but your conclusion, that's if you believe in what you said, it's almost like five. But there's some work to do there. But thank you. Catherine, we've never met before. You are coming because of the presentation. Okay.
I'm always here.
All right, Catherine. Okay. The question is still on the floor.
Hello,
And
Doc.
yes, the graphs.
Hello, Doc.
Yes. And Poma, we want to know the difference between the stewardship theory and the agency theory as it relates to regulating corporate governance in public institutions. So the
Okay.
graphs, I can hear you.
Okay, Doc. Agency theory. The agency theory is the agent into brackets or a person acting on behalf of the principal. Is seen as a self-interested or ego and may privatize their own interests over the principal's activities. On the contrary, stewardship theory views that the agent as a trustworthy person and its interest is what put at the center. This is the theory assumes that agents are motivated and his interest is always his interest. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much. The graph you also added to the conversation. So if we add the graph to Catherine's view, we are about 5.5%, 5.5/10. So is there any more?
Yes, sir. Let
Please
me
proceed.
let me let me see whether I can add something.
You add
Whether
them right. Yeah.
from what they have said, with the stewardship theory, you know when you are a steward is in charge of something, and with the stewardship theory, the managers are motivated in a sense of responsibility and their loyalty to the organization. But when we come to the agency theory, the managers are not motivated uh, by the sense of responsibility and loyalty as in the stewardship, but rather their motivation is in their self-interest. You know, with the agency, you pay them. Where if I have my money and I've invested and I don't have time, I need to get someone to work on my behalf. So it is driven by their personal gains. Then again, when we talk of the stewardship theory, their roles are different. The role between the stewardship, a steward and the agency, they are different. When we concerning the stewardship, the managers act as stewards. They are in charge. They patronize the company's interest first. But when we come to the agency one, you know, since they are agents, they patronize their own interests. Then adding to it, in terms of behavior with the stewardship, as we have indicated that the interest of the organization is their top priority. With their behavior, they have collaborative, they have long-term focus. You know, I have to make sure that the company do succeed since the interest of the company is at heart. But with that of the agency, it is self-driven. At the end of the day, you take your money, so whatever your interest is their interest is not solely about just like the steward's own where they prioritize the company's own, but theirs is short term and also self-serving. They and also when we talk of trust, trust concerning these two, the steward step theory assumes that managers can be trusted, whilst the agency assumes that they can't. I think our previous discussions, we indicated this. When it comes to trust with agency, it is a bit difficult because you don't know the motive of the person. And since the theory assumes that they don't prioritize the interest of the company, in terms of trust, you, the principal, you will not disclose a lot of things to the agent. But you know, the goal is that the stewardship theory privatizes the organization or the company's goals. Whilst when we talk of the agency theory, they privatize their personal goals. Then in relation to the public space, when we talk of accountability, the stewardship theory emphasizes intrinsic motivation. You know, they do the thing with passion, but when it comes to the agency one, it is external. At the end of the day, I have to work to get my money. Then again, when it comes to the public space in terms of governance, we can say the stewardship theory promotes collaborative governance while the agency emphasizes oversight. So I think I will add this and see how many points you add to ours.
All right. So there's
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I would have. So Elizabeth, a minute. I would have added just point 0.5, but you made an important point we spoke about last week, which I think is the central reason I asked the question. And so you would have gone ahead by maybe 8/10. And what do you think that point is? What do you think that point would have been?
but
The
I
point.
think the trust aspect of it.
Yes, Elizabeth, let me hear you. What is it about?
Yeah, so I wanted to add up to what my sister said by saying that with the stewardship theory, we mentioned, or you mentioned in our discussion, that uh, the company or organization is entrusted into the hands of the whoever the manager or the steward to say. And so the person gives in his or her all to achieve organizational goals, and hence transparency and then accountability is assured because the person knows that at the end of the day, I'll be held accountable for what uh, I have been tasked to do or the trust the person has labeled on me. But unlike the agency theory where the person just works according to what he has been instructed to do, and then at the end of the day, he takes his money, and then that is all. That is what I wanted to add.
That's brilliant. So 8.5. Now my question finally, maybe to see if you can get your 10/10 as it comes to responses to question is that's on this same issue. I want to just let you hit it right on the head. So between agency theory and stewardship theory, which one supports the need for corporate governance?
Well, please, stewardship theory.
Okay. Any further? Any further from the group? I think Adidu, you are not part of us. Okay. Any further from the group?
Lawyer, it can be a two-way affair. Oh. You
It is a
know,
one-way affair. It's a one-way. So
okay,
keep
if it
your
is a one-way
information.
affair,
Mhm.
are you sure it's one way? Because
It's
you
one way.
one way. Okay.
Yeah. So do you align with Elizabeth or you hold a contrary view?
No, let me align with my sister.
Very well. Okay. Then that means you didn't score the full mark. Okay, so you're all
No,
at
agency.
all right. So you didn't score the full mark, but that was a very good impression. Let me say that the agency theory calls for corporate governance, but the stewardship theory does not. It says the managers will act in the best interest of the principal. So they don't need corporate governance when it comes to stewardship theory. Having said that, you've done extremely well. I think you guys have shown a lot of industry, and I'm very pleased with what you did, even in introducing the theories and all to argue. So, yes, you take your flowers. My regards to all of you. Done excellent. Let's
Thank
take the
you.
great, great, great.
Thank
Let's
Thank
take
you.
you,
the
thank you, thank you, Doc. Thank you,
pleasure.
lawyer.
Let's take the next presentation.
He said it, yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Okay. Sorry, please. I hope my screen can be shown.
Yes, it's showing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, sorry for my voice, but I'm starting with group 2, and our topic was on corporate governance of Ghana and the public service. So, I will begin with the first 3 objectives, which is the meaning and role of the public service. The second will be on the protection to the public officer.
Especially, I hope you have your index numbers and your names.
Yes, please.
Very well. You send it to Poma for onward forwarding to me in the manner in which you do your presentation. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And the last will be on corporate governance, and my other members will also continue with the rest of the objectives. So we will begin with I'll begin with the meaning and the role of the public service. So from research, we came out with the meaning of public service as to the administrative arm of government, which is responsible for implementing policies, providing services, and ensuring the continuity of governance. It encompasses consists of various ministries, the departments, and agencies, such as the district assemblies, and etc. They work together to deliver public goods and service. Also, we can come out with a definition that public service refers to the provision of essential services to the public by the government or government-funded institutions. These services are designed to benefit society as a whole and ensuring the well-being and safety and prosperity of the citizens in the country. So we are going to look at the key aspects of public services. In public services, first, it is government funded. It is funded by government. Public services are funded through the taxes and government allocations. And they also provide essential services, such as the services that we said in the explanation, such as in healthcare, education, law enforcement, public transportation, and waste management, etc. It has a universal access, and which means that it is aimed to provide equal access to all citizens, regardless of your income or your societal status. The public service is universal to all, and it is non-profit. The primary goal of a public service is to serve the interests of the public and not to generate any profits as in the private sector or the private organization. So the services, as I said, was the healthcare, such as the hospitals and clinics that we found our CHIPS compounds and all those medical services. In education, we have our public schools, the universities, and other educational programs. In law enforcement, policies also depends on about agencies that helps in maintaining law and order in the organization, such as the courts, the district level, the circuit level, and those other courts, those type of courts that we have. In transportation too, we can talk of the buses and trains, which facilitates movement within cities and towns. And on waste management, you talk about the collection and disposal of waste to public health, and which was about public health and cleanliness. The next we will look at is the role of a public service. The role of a public service. One role of a public service is implementing government policies. So the public servant is there to translate policy decisions into actionable programs and services, and also providing essential services. Their aim is to deliver critical services, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of healthcare, education, and infrastructure development and transportation, etc. One of their role is to promote economic growth. They support economic development through effective policy implementation and service delivery, as well as already mentioned earlier, serving the public interest. They are also, the role of a public servant is also to ensure that public resources are managed efficiently and effectively to benefit the citizens. So we are going to look at some theories and principles of the public service. Theories and principles that underpins public service are the rule of law. This rule of law ensures that public officials act in accordance with the law and respect citizens' rights, and no right is trampled upon. And in terms of accountability too, by holding public officials responsible for their actions and decisions that they make. And theory, principle under transparency too, by ensuring that the public information is accessible and transparent to all. Under integrity, they uphold high standards of ethics and morality in public services. Efficiency and effectiveness, they strive to deliver high quality services efficiently and effectively. Now, we will look at 3 models of public service in Ghana. We have one model as the new public management, NPN, which is focused on result-oriented management and performance measurement. So their role is to make sure they manage resource and performance of public servants. The second is the good governance model. They emphasize on transparency, accountability, and citizen participation. And under corporate governance manual too, they, as we understood, are guidelines for governing boards, councils of public service entities, emphasizing on their transparency, the accountability, and protection of the public as a whole. So we will look at protection to the public officer, which is the second objective. Protection to the public officer in Ghana public service, and it is enshrined in the 1992 Constitution in Article 191, which safeguards them from victimizing or discrimination for faithful discharging their duties. So as they are discharging their duties, these officers may face 1 or 2 discriminative or victimization. So this protection ensures that the public officer can perform their functions without fear of retaliations. One is to protection from victimization. So the key protection is to protect them from victimization, where public officers are shielded from adverse treatment for carrying out their duties in accordance with the Constitution. So this protection is to protect them from being victimized while they are carrying out their duties in accordance with constitutions. Then protection from unlawful removal. Public officers can only be removed from office in accordance with the terms and conditions of their contracts or for just cause as outlined in Article 191 and 195 of the Constitution. So as we have been hearing from the news, how even a government can only disappoint a public service officer unless he goes through the Constitution, as the Constitution stipulates. So we look at the pension expansions. Pensions payable to public officers are exempt from tax, as stated in Article 190 of the Constitution. So these are some of the protections that is given to public officer. So now let's look at theories and principles underpinning the protection of public officer. The rule of law. It ensures that public officers act in accordance with the law and are protected by it. Accountability. Public officers are held accountable for their actions, and this accountability is balanced with protection from unjust treatment. Integrity. Public officers uphold high standard of ethics and morality in public service, which includes protecting public officers who act in good faith. Then we look at the models of public officer. We have the corporate governance model and also the public service commission. So the corporate governance model, I've already explained that they are the guidelines for governing boards, councils of the public sector entities, which emphasize their transparency, accountability, and protection of public officers. So in public service commissions, it's established under the article of the Constitution 194. This commission oversees the public service and ensures that public officers are treated fairly under the Public Service Commission. Now, the last that I'll touch on is the corporate governance that my other colleagues in the first group has talked much about. So from our research, what we came out with corporate governance is it's a set of systems, processes, and principles which ensure that a company is governed, directed, and controlled in the best interest of the stakeholders. And also, corporate governance may be referred to as a system of rules, practices, and processes used to direct and control an organization. What do we mean here? In summary, it's about balancing the interests of various stakeholders, including shareholders, management, board of directors, employees, customers, suppliers, and the broader community. So we should know that. So we should note that corporate governance in Ghana's public service is guided by several principles and theories, and this is what we are going to look at. The first principle we are going to look at is accountability. They are to ensure public officials are responsible for their actions and decisions. And also under transparency, corporate governance is to ensure that public information is accessible and transparent to all. Under integrity, the corporate governance holds public service to high standards of ethics and morality in public service. And under rule of law, it ensures that public officials act in accordance with the law and respect citizens' rights. Efficiency and effectiveness, striving to deliver high quality services efficiently and effectively, as we have explained earlier. So under the theories, our sister mentioned some of the theories, so I will also add one or two to it. That is, the first one will be on the stakeholder theory. That is balancing the interests of the stakeholders, including citizen, government, and public service. So under the stakeholder theory, it talks about unlike the shareholder theory, The stakeholder theory talks about the broader aspect of shareholder theory, which talks about the triple bottom line, as Doc said last week, that the organization must meet one, the interest of the people or the citizen or the shareholders, that is to make profits for them, and also the interest also must consider the interest of the society in which they operate, or the people who patronize their goods, and also to the planet. That is the environment in which they operate. So the stakeholder theory focus on the interest groups, all those interest groups, which is not only the shareholders, that all stakeholders. And under transaction cost theory, we will look at it also focuses on the securing good governance to improve relationship between stakeholders. So under transaction theory is about, as Dr. Letters understood the other time, that it's about expansions. So as a small business or a little business, which is the one-man business, you don't need a board of directors or all those corporate governance. But when the business is expanding, there the need for a corporate governance, as was also explained by my other colleagues in the agency theory. Now, on the political theory, it emphasizes the role of government influence in shaping corporate governance practice. So, Doug advises that an organization should build a corporate power so that any political influence or any change of government will not have any effect on the running of the business. So he gave an example of the MTN and the dispute between the government and the DSTV people, because they have a strong corporate power. They are able to resist any political influence that comes their way. And I'll talk about the models of corporate governance. Models of corporate governance, we have new public management, as I said earlier. Their role is to focus on the results-oriented management and performance measurement. Good governance model, which also emphasizes on transparency, accountability, and citizen participation. Corporate governance manual, which provide guidance for governing boards, councils of public sector entities. Then regulatory framework of corporate governance. First is the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, also split that providing a comprehensive legal structure governing company operations. So the Companies Act also provide a comprehensive legal structure governing company operations. And under public finance management, regulating public financial management. It is also established to regulate the public financial management. And under Security and Exchange Commission, which is a SEC, it's also there to provide guidelines for corporate governance practices. And last but not the least is the Stock Exchange, which regulate the listed companies and promoting good governance practices, such which was said by the group 1. So these regulatory frameworks are there established as a set of rules and laws and regulations that governs corporate governance in Ghana. So please, this will be the end of my presentation. I will pause here and allow my other members to continue. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
So
Good
we wait
afternoon.
for other members. Okay. Good.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Naledo, can you mute?
Please, I'll continue with appointments and I'm coming. Yeah, I think. So I'll take over from the appointment of board and induction responsibilities and other things. First of all, I'll tackle on the appointments of board. And with the appointment of board, we are saying that the board ensure that there is a right person for they appoint right person for the organization strategies, like a right person, someone qualified to stand up for the works required of them. Hello, am I being heard?
Can you
Yes, go
speak?
ahead.
Yes, we are
Okay.
hearing you.
Okay. So, as I said, I'm taking from the appointment. I'm going to continue with appointment, as my brother said, with the governance and the public of service and office. I'm continuing with the appointment, induction, and tenure of the board. Under the appointment of board, I'm saying that members of the board ensure that the right individual are selected to oversee the strategic directions of the organization. They make sure that they are able to select the right person who has knowledge and skills to be able to handle the tasks they have, what the organization are involved to join the board. Also, they also will look at the key aspects of the appointment, what they look at in selecting their members. What they look at in selecting their members. Um, Amidu, please, you've touched on the slide. Amidu, okay, the key aspect of appointment is nomination. They look at the board members
Kindly,
nominate members
kindly,
by existing board members. Hello.
kindly hold on. Who is changing the slides, and the person should do so in conformity with your presentation. So is what you are presenting what is projected?
Yes, but it seems he changed it. That got me confused a bit.
Okay, so
Yeah.
is it Ali to kindly be consistent with what your colleagues may be speaking about? Kindly proceed.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. So we are looking at the key aspects of the appointment. The nomination. The first one is nomination. That is, the board can be nominated by existing board members, like someone who is already a board member, or a shareholder, or an external recruitment processes that they can use. We also look at the selection criteria. That is, the nominating committee or governing body establishes criteria to evaluate the potential candidates. As in, they look at the skills that the person is having, how the objectivity of the person, the leadership skills of the person, and also they also look at the conflict of interest. What will benefit the organization is what they look at. Then we come back to the induction of board. That is, induction of boards is a comprehensive induction process to equip new board members with the necessary knowledge and skills to perform their duty effectively. The induction processes include orientation. They orient the person on what the company or the organization is all about, what their um what they need or what they are come to experience, or what the company does, their mission, their vision, their history, the values of the company. They also look at the governance framework, the overview of the governance structure, including roles and responsibilities that you will be equipped with. Then they look at the board operations. That is the board procedures, meeting schedules, and decision making processes. That is, they equip you on what the board needs to do, their procedures, the meeting schedules, when you are being called for meetings, days that you have to, demand, whether it's twice in a year, once in a year, or 3 times in a year. They equip you with it so that you know. They also involve you in decision makings and other things. Then we look at the last one, that is strategic planning, the review of the organization strategic plan and the key performance indicators that it goes with. Then the third one, we look at the tenure of the board. That is, the board is typically defined in the organization bylaws or governing documents. Key responsibilities. Okay, so we look at the key responsibilities and the duties of the governing board. We look at the strategic planning, developing and approving the organization strategic plans, risk management, identifying the risks that may impact the organization operations and reputation. Then we look at the financial oversight, that is reviewing and approving financial statements, financial budget, and investment. Then we look at the performance nominations. We look at the evaluations of the we look at the performance of the organization, as in maybe in a year what the organization have been able to come out with, their things that they were able to do, the benefits or the what they were able to, things that they weren't able to accomplish as well. Then we come to some key liabilities of the board. We look at the breach of federation duty. We look at negligence. So the negligence is failure to exercise reasonable care in decision making. We look at the conflict of interest, that is engaging in the transaction or activities that conflict with the organization's interests. Then non-compliance is failure to comply by the laws, regulations, or industry standards. We come up with some theories that governs these inductions, responsibilities, and other things, and we're able to come up with agency theories. And we say that the agency theory is, as my sisters have been saying, is an agency is someone working for another person. So the agent is working for the principal, the organizations. He follows the rules and regulations given to him by the board and other things. Then there's stewardship theory. That is, they decide, they are the assets of the company. They put resources together, they do things that it will benefit them themselves and as well as the organization. Then we look at the last one of the theories, that is the stakeholder theory. We say that the board, it is a balance of interests of various stakeholders, include shareholders, customers. That is, the stakeholders is a balance of interest. It's something that is a theory that helps all the organizations or the shareholders, the customers, employees, which involves them. So that will be the end. I think my sister will continue from there. Thank you, Doc. Pressure.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, it's currently proceed. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. Please, I'm taking it up from where my sister ended. I'm looking at meeting of the boards or council, then I'll look at the committee of the board, and then finally look at the remuneration. Now, whenever a board is formed, the members are tasked with overseeing the overall directions of the organization. And for that matter, they need to meet so that they can achieve the objectives or the goals of the organization. These board members are usually appointed by shareholders, people who have actually invested their quota into the business and then are seeking to achieve some profits or are seeking to achieve some gains. And so when the board is formed like this, they are basically
to ensure that decision making is properly done, and then they involve in strategic planning, and then finally the overall direction of the organization is on them. They need to ensure that that is properly done. Now, for a meeting or for a board to meet, there are some factors that need to be considered, or there are key aspects of these board meetings when they are held. And the first one I would want to talk about or tackle is the frequency and scheduling of the board meeting. Now, once or because they are to ensure that the organization achieves its goals as stated or as it has, they need to be meeting on a regular basis, or they need to meet regularly to ensure that whatever goal they have set, or to ensure that they are making progress. So meetings should be held regularly, and then the schedule of the meetings should be communicated very well to every member of the board. That is to say that for a board meeting to come on, there should be a notice being sent to all members of the board. And this notice can be within usually 7 to, let's say, 14 days. And then also there should be a detailed agenda. It should come with an agenda, or it should come with a supporting document, that which will enable the members or the board members to have a fair idea of what exactly is going to be discussed over there, so they can come on board with their skills, their knowledge, and then they can meet their goals, or they can actually achieve whatever they have planned to achieve. Hello. Please, am I being heard?
Yes, so
Yes, yes,
Okay,
you are being heard.
okay, thank you. Then also we look at the quorum and voting. So because they are actually involved in the decision making of the organization, per their regulation, they should have a regulation, or they should have a constitution, something they are following. So per their regulation, there should be, when it comes to decision making, a number of people who are to be present to be able to, or to be present in the meeting in order for decisions to be made. So we don't just come and then maybe we are a number of 50, we have, let's say, 10 board members, only 2 people will come and sit down and maybe no. So there should be a number, and then it should follow the appropriate procedure. Voting should go on. And now this voting, the procedure for the voting should be clearly stated. So anybody who is part of the board will know exactly what is going on, so that it will be fair, it will be transparent, and then whatever they are seeking or they are looking for, they can actually achieve it. Then I will take minutes and record keeping. They make discussions, they make decisions, they take actions as a board. And so there should be proper documentation, proper record keeping, so that anytime they want to refer to whatever they have discussed or whatever they decided to do, they can easily get access to it. And these minutes should be approved by the chair, meaning that in the board or as board members, there should be a chair or a chairperson or a chairman who is always overseeing the meeting, or always taking in charge of the activities of the meeting. Then when there is a meeting, for example, a meeting is scheduled to discuss a critical project, then it so happens that for some vital reasons, key members of this board are unable to attend or unavailable. If it becomes a situation that needs to be attended to urgently, then they can also consider, or they can use an alternative, which can be maybe going through the virtual participation. That is where the use of technology comes in. Now we are in the technological world, just like we are doing. We are hearing each other, we are communicating to each other. Sometimes there are networking, but I think it's more better than nothing. So when it so happens that some of these meetings will have to come up, they can resort to the use of technology. Now, we look at the types of meeting frequencies. So how often their meetings should be timed. There should be timing for board meetings. And this timing will basically depend on the organization and the specific needs of the organization. So it can be an ad hoc meeting where there is an urgent issue that requires immediate attention. So a meeting can quickly be organized or can be called, and then they will attend to the situation. Monthly meetings are also there, where they are meeting at the end of the month to maybe see or to find out whether they are making progress with whatever they are seeking to achieve. Quarterly meetings are also there. They can have quarterly meetings every 3 to 4 months, maybe to review their strategies, to also review their progress, and then sometimes make some key decisions that is actually going to help the growth of the organization. Annual meetings at the end of the year is also there to review the overall process or activity achievements within the year. Then by monthly meetings, some boards will meet every other month, if that is what their regulation or their rule states, that they can meet any other month that is appropriate for them that want to come. So they can meet any other month, which can be suitable for the organization. And then that is also there. Please, let me say that these are some types of meeting frequencies. I guess there can be other types too. So for now, this is what I would want to talk about. Then looking at some factors that will influence the frequency of board meeting. I think whilst I was explaining the frequency meeting, the meeting frequency times, I think I mentioned some of them, talking about strategic priorities. So when there are crises, there are major decisions to make, there should be a significant change. I mean, when there is the need for this one, something that needs to be done fast, they can organize a meeting. Then the regulatory requirements, per their regulations, they can also have a meeting. So that one can also influence the frequency of their meeting. Then the number of the organization size, the larger the organization, sometimes it becomes complex. So they will require frequent board meetings so that things will move the way it is expected to move. Now, for the theories, I think I have agency theory here, looking at the fact that these members are appointed by, let me say, owners of the organization. They serve as agents where they are giving allowances or whatever, and then ensure that whatever goal or whatever the goals of the organization they are to achieve it. So they work in the interest, or they serve in the interest of the shareholders, let me put it that way. And then also they do collective decision making. They come together, put their ideas together. So this collective decision theory is saying that when decisions are done collectively by experts, they are more likely to be rational, and then it happens to be in the best interest of the organization. I would now move to committees of the boards. Committees of the board.
Kindly know that as a group, you've exceeded your time as a group. So be advised. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. We're told our time is almost up, so it's snapping.
Hey. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll look at the committee of the board. So committees are established to focus on specific areas so that it will allow for more in-depth examination and then informed decision making. Now we have different types, the key aspects of committees. We look at the different types of committees, which we have learned about them. I think in our previous studies, we have mentioned a lot of them already, so I wouldn't want to go too much into that. The risk management committee, the audit committee, finance committee, and so on. So another key aspect of a committee is the terms of reference. There should be an outlining purpose. There should be a key purpose. Committees are for specific areas or specific tasks. So what exactly are they seeking to achieve, or what exactly is their responsibility? That one should also be clear. The membership, because it's for a specific task, We should be looking or appointing people based on their expertise, people who are actually experts in the field that we want to tackle or the field that we want to achieve something. And then reporting and accountability. There should be regular reports. It should be, the committee should be accounting to the board so that they can pick it up from there, and then the appropriate recommendations can also be made. Then the last one I would deal with, I'll look at remuneration, having to do with wages, salaries, maybe allowances and all that. So it's necessary to attract and then retain qualified board members when it is when the allowances or when the salaries or whatever are juicy. I mean, people will be motivated or they'll be happy, and then they want to be or they want to remain on the board. So the remuneration framework should be clear. There should be a structure that is indicating who takes what and who is receiving this, the allowances and the benefits of each board member. There should be a regulation, something that is regulating that. Then also, it should not compromise the independence of board members or create any conflict of interest. So independence, and then transparency, and then disclosure. Then remuneration details should be transparent. It should be clear, with clear disclosure in their final reports, because they are but when they meet, especially annual meetings, there will be reports on what has gone throughout the year and whatever, and it needs to be stated clearly there together with other relevant documents. Okay, thank you. For the sake of time, I'll pause here and then ask my other colleagues to continue from here. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, class. Hello.
Good afternoon. Hello.
So please, I will proceed. Yeah, please. So I will proceed. I will proceed from where my sister ended, and then we are going to look at corporate reporting and compliance, and then we follow, and then look at relationship among board or council, CEO, and sector ministers, and then we also look at evaluation of the board council. Now, to start with, we are going to talk about the corporate reporting and compliance, which explain that organizations must submit financial and operational reports on time. So everyone knows how resources are, that this process ensures transparency. That is, everyone can see or know what is happening, and accountability, which shows how responsible people are. Now we continue to the relationship among board or council or CEO and sector minister. The board or council provides oversight and strategic guidance. They set the direction, and the CEO executes the strategic and manage day-to-day operations, reporting back to the board. The sector minister gives policy direction and ensures the organization align with government priorities. Point out that all the three must work together for effective governance. Now we look at our last one, which is evaluation of the board council. The board council is evaluated based on effectiveness, decision making, and compliance with rules. Evaluations are done annually or periodically to track performance over time. External auditors or review team may be used to provide an objective assessment. Thank you. I think my sister will also continue from here.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much. I think, yes, without much ado, let me just move on. I am handling, please, the one handling the slides, please, let's let's move so that we move as fast as we can. Yes, I think that there's one before this one, please. Yes, evaluating of chief executive officer. Please stay on the slide. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, now let me just give an overview of evaluation, the evaluation of the CEO. Now, in the context of the Ghanaian public service, it requires a specific framework that incorporates the principles of corporate governance while acknowledging the unique public sector mandates or the legal environment and accountability to the citizenry. Now, it moves beyond mere administrative competence to assess stewardships, public trust, and adherence to specific governance structures in Ghana. Now, let's look at what the evaluation is grounded in. Now, the evaluation is grounded in, first, the Constitution of Ghana. And we know the Constitution of Ghana is the ultimate source of authority and rule of public service. And it's also grounded in the Public Financial Management Act, which is 2016 Act 291, which governs the financial stewardship, budgeting, and reporting. It's also grounded in the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663, as amended, and it regulates procurement to ensure value for money and prevents corruption. Now, it is also grounded in the National Public Sector Reform Strategy, and which focuses on efficiency, effectiveness, and service delivery. Now, finally, it is grounded in the Citizen-Centric Service Charter Initiative, which emphasizes accountability to the public. Now, let me go to the evaluation of the public service CEO itself. Now, the evaluation can be structured around 5 critical pillars. Now, the first pillar is the legal and regulatory compliance and fiduciary duty. Now, this assesses the CEO's fundamental stewardship of public resources and adherence to law. Now, the first take is adherence to mandate. And this is where the questions or rhetorical questions come in. First of all, is the agency or department operating strictly within its legally defined mandates and functions? Another step, the financial probity. Does the CEO ensure strict compliance with the Public Financial Management Act? The next one is procurement integrity. Now, are all procurement activities conducted in strict accordance with the Public Procurement Act? Also, is there evidence of achieving value for money and preventing sole sourcing abuse? Another, the response to audit. The question is, how does the CEO respond to reports from the Auditor General? Another one, is there a robust system to implement audit recommendations and address irregularities? Now we move on to the second pillar, which is strategic leadership and performance management. Now this evaluates the CEO's ability to translate the government's policy or the government's policy objectives into tangible results. Now this is the first thing. Strategy, formation, and execution. Now, has the CEO developed a clear, costed strategic plan that align with national development goals? Another, results-based management. Is there a functional performance management system in place? Another take is resource optimization. Now, does the CEO effectively or efficiently utilize human, financial, and technological resources to achieve agency goals, minimizing waste? The third pillar, board and stakeholder relations. That is the governing council. Now, in the public service, we know that the board is often the governing body or the governing council or the ministry that provides oversight. Now, we look at the relationship with the governing council. Now, does the CEO maintain a transparent, professional, and accountable relationship with the supervisory body? Another take is accountability to Parliament. Now, is the CEO prepared to provide accurate and timely information when summoned by Parliament Select Committees? Now, an example of the Parliament Select Committee is what we see now, what is happening now, the Public Accounts Committee. Now, another take is stakeholder engagement. Does the CEO proactively engage in key stakeholders or engage with key stakeholders, including service users, civil service organizations or civil society organizations, local governments, and community leaders to incorporate feedback into service design and delivery? Now, the fourth pillar is ethical leadership and institutional culture. Now, this is very critical. It is critical for public trust. And if you want to combat corruption, this is very critical. Now, we look at this, the tone at the top. Now, what do we mean? The tone at the top. Now, does the CEO personally exemplify the highest standards of integrity, impartiality, and professionalism? Another question. Do their actions enforce a culture of ethics? Then we look at anti-corruption measures. Now, has the CEO implemented a strong internal anti-corruption systems? An example is a functional internal audit, confidential reporting channels, or is there a visible commitment to punishing misconduct without fear or favor? Another take, transparency and access to information. Now, does the agency proactively disclose information in line with the RTI or the Right to Information Act 2019, which is Act 989? Now, are citizens able to access information about services, budgets, and decisions, or managing conflict and interest, or managing conflict of interest? Sorry. Now, does the CEO have a clear, has he declared assets and liabilities? Now, we know this, that when you come into public office, you need to declare assets and liabilities. Now, does the CEO have a declared assets and liability register? Now, another take, operational efficiency and service delivery. Now, this measures the direct impact on the citizen. So the last pillar is the operational efficiency and service delivery. Now, let's move on to the mechanisms of evaluation. Now, the evaluation should be a formal process. It shouldn't be an ad hoc assessment. It shouldn't be a one-time thing. So first of all, these are the key mechanisms. The first one is the Governing Council, where we have the Ministry Performance Review, and this is a formal annual review against a signed performance contract. Now, recently we saw that in GES, where you have to sign a performance contract and all that. So between the CEO and then the supervising ministry or the minister in charge. Now, the next is performance audits by the Auditor General. Now, audits that go beyond finances to assess economy, to assess efficiency, to assess effectiveness. In other words, to assess just value for money. The next one is parliamentary oversight, where we have scrutiny by parliamentary select committees. I've spoken about that already, where we have the sorry for that. Now, the next one is civil society and public reports cards. And we move on to internal performance data, where we have analysis of agencies' own key performance indicators, where we have the KPIs and reports. And then we look at the consequences of evaluation. Now, for evaluation to be meaningful, the results must have consequences. Definitely, you must have consequences. And then one is the renewal of contract. Now, performance in these governance areas should be the primary determinant of or for contract renewal. Another is performance-based incentives. Now, where applicable, we can have a portion of the remuneration. It can be tied to achieving a specific service or some form of targets in some way. You can also have sanctions for non-performance. Now, if there is persistent failure, especially in areas of financial probity and where we have legal compliance, it should lead to dismissal and probably potential legal actions. A minute though. Let me get this stable income.
You guys have spent more than 40 minutes. And so I wonder when you'll be concluding. Be advised. All right, that's enough. We'll end their discussion here.
Sorry, sir, my battery is almost there. I'm trying to really.
Yes, we are done. We are done because you are 20 minutes beyond the time as a group.
Yes.
We were scheduled for 20 minutes, so you can't hold us to ransom. And so we are done by fiat. I hope everyone in your group has spoken.
Yes, Doc.
All right. So thank you very much for your presentations. Well, I think that there must be efforts made to ensure that the discussion is brought in all together. It looks a bit fragmented, in my view. But well, let's leave it to the house. Any questions or comments, colleagues? Corporate governance of Ghana's public services. Okay, if not, I have a question. Then we take it from there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the graphs, please proceed.
Mr. Amid, Group 2. During your presentation, you made mention of articles and acts. You mentioned of Company Act 2019, Act 992, and Article 191 in the Constitution, that discharging duties as a public officer and victimization of a public officer. My question is, and also Article 190 of the Constitution, and also 194, Public Service Commission. Can you educate me as a group or Mr. Midu, the meaning of Public Service Commission and only one duty of Public Service Commission? Thank you.
All right, so anyone at all? Good question, congrats. What's the Public Service Commission, the duty? Let's do that quickly, since you're out of time. No one, Halidu, Anita, Felicia, Benjamin, Abbas. What's the Public Service Commission? And any duty. All right.
What are you talking about? The meaning or meaning according to the article or the act you mentioned about?
Very well. I said Constitution Article 194. You made mention of Public Service Commission. Just the meaning and one duty. That's all. Thank you.
When we talk about the Public Service Commission, especially in Ghana, they are set up independent and constitutionally mandated. As I said, the Constitution is in the Constitution. They have human resource planning institution aspect of the public service. They are like the human resource planning institution of the public service, and their duty is to manage the workforce of Ghanaian public sector as a whole. So bringing it to our level, I would say they are the human resource, as in GES, the human resource in your district or wherever the Public Service Commission are also the human resource aspect of the public service. Thank you.
Thank you for educating me.
All right. So that's correct. My question to your group is that when you say there's a corporate governance manual for the public service, a corporate governance manual for the public service, and that corporate governance manual allows for the chair of a board to be separated from the CEO of that board. So the CEO of the company and the chair of the board must be separated. That's what is in the manual. Imagine you have read it. What risk do you see when a company's board has the same person as the chair? And also at the management front, that same person is the CEO. What challenge do you see? Anyone at all?
Doc, can you please come again?
Very well, Anita. So the view is that when you look at the corporate governance manual governing the public sector, it recommends entirely that there must be a chair of the board, which is separate from the CEO of the public agency or institution. Now, what do you make, or what do you think should be the risk of not abiding by that recommendation? In other words, what risk would a public institution face when the same person doubles as the CEO and the chair of the board? Proceed.
Thank you very much, sir. For me, I see that there will be conflict of interest. That's what I see.
All right, Doc. So please, Doc, can I come in?
Please do
Hello.
so.
All right, Doc. So please, I think it will compromise the relationship between the board, the CEO, and then the sector minister, because if the board initially is supposed to provide oversight and strategic guidance, while the CEO, they do the strategic management of the day-to-day operations. So if the same person serves as the CEO and then the director of board, in fact, it's going to really compromise the relationship between the two parties. I mean, two offices, which will probably create some kululu somewhere in terms of finances and other stuff and operations of the business as a whole. Thank you.
Very well. So I take your view and Abbas's view as that of the group, and I say that it's 7/10. So that's good. I appreciate
Please,
it.
can I
Thank you.
add something small to
Yeah,
it?
very small. Yes.
Right.
I think there will be lack of independent oversight because the CEO is accountable to the board as a board of directors, which is also overseen by the chairman. So if the same person holds both roles, and then they are, it's like they are supervising their own selves, so which will compromise the ability of the board to independently assess and have oversights on the management. Thank you.
I can't agree with you any less. Yes, that's better. So 8/10. That's good. Anita, I wanted to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same thing, but I also say to also reduce transparency, and there will be also conflict of interest. I think my colleagues have already made those points.
Very well. Okay, thank you so much. All right,
Hello,
even this.
sir. Hey.
Yes. You are not part of.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Very well. Okay. So thank you, group 2. You took a lot of our time, I should say. The discussions too were a bit fragmented. It didn't flow like I would have expected, as it is one slide we are all speaking to. But anyhow, you put in your best efforts, and that is much appreciated. Let's have group 3. Make sure you stick within the time frame. Let's have group 3.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, group 3 members. I think our slides is becoming along, but I want to start before then.
Yes, that is
Hello.
possible.
Yeah, okay. We are working on corporate social responsibility.
That is impossible.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Yes.
I'm saying that you are clear. It is impossible to proceed without the slide. So kindly get it fixed.
Yeah, okay.
Who is working on it? Who is working on it? Group 3, kindly respond. Otherwise, we end the class. Who is working on the slides? Group 3, kindly respond. Otherwise, we end the class. No members of group 3. You know I don't like to speak in a vacuum. Are there no members of group 3 who can respond to my question?
Hello, Doc.
Lawyer,
We are trying, but still.
There have been two presentations. So get in touch with those who did the presentation to assist you now. We cannot wait ad infinitum.
Mr. Aminu, can you help us in that regard?
Please, I don't have your slide, so if maybe you can send it to the group, then I'll see it.
Okay, sir. Mr. Aminu, please, it has been sent.
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
Please, I will suggest if the other group are ready, so that they will continue, then I will look at how to help them.
This is the last group. This is the last group.
Okay, Doc. Please, can it be seen?
All right, thank you, Mr. Aminu. Thank you for assisting us. So we are group 3 and we are presenting on corporate social responsibility, CRS. Next slide, please. So we are looking at why social responsibility of business. Why should businesses engage themselves in corporate social responsibility? First of all, for the purpose of dependence of business on society, that is law of responsibility. The second one is achievement of long-term objectives. So basically, why CSR or why corporate social responsibility is that one, because it is a requirement of the law. That's why businesses perform this act. Two, achievement of long-term objectives. Businesses might have their personal or group goals that they want to achieve, and as part of the group goals, they inculcate these corporate social responsibilities inside, and in quest to achieve them, they have to implement whatever has been stated in these goals. Then change in public expectations. The general public have their view or their point of perspective about businesses from their beginning, the beginning of establishment or the beginning of the corporation of the business. The general public has its own perspective, and therefore to clear the mindset or to clear the air that you are not in to destroy but rather in to collaborate, it is incumbent on you, the business, to involve in corporate social responsibility. Then concept of corporate citizenship. So to partner with, to have a close relationship with the citizens, there is the need to involve in corporate social responsibility. Fear of loss of goodwill and reputation. So in order to maintain the good name that the business has, you need to constantly involve in corporate social responsibilities. Then pressure from different groups. Other related businesses might be doing such activities. So if you don't do, then it means you are going astray from what the normal group members are also doing. So in terms of to avoid unnecessary competition and stuff, you're supposed to do what is needed. The next slide, please. So conceptualizing CSR, we are looking at corporate philanthropy, then giving back to the community, meeting preconditions set by society, holding business accountable, building social infrastructure, creating business value, and then corporate sustainability. So in terms of conceptualizing or taking the main concept of corporate social responsibility, then we are looking at corporate philanthropy, whereby you assist without any form of returns. You are giving to the community without taking anything from them freely. Then also giving back to the society. The society are your stakeholders. They buy from the business or they buy from your company. And therefore, in a way of giving back to them, we perform CSR. Then meeting the preconditions set by the society. As a business going into a new area, one way or the other, the community has its own stated goals and objectives, certain things that they want to do. As a way of meeting the leaders of the community, they might also give you their problems. And for you giving your words to them by inculcating in CSR, you'll be able to involve yourself or partake in the conditions or the various rules set by the society. Then holding business accountable. This will come to the angle of the law. The law exercise a stance that businesses should involve in corporate social responsibility. So if you don't do, then you'll be accountable for that. Then building a social infrastructure. So social infrastructure like the social amenities that we have, the schools and other items that the community that will benefit everyone, not one person, but will benefit all. Then creating business value. By doing this, you place a value on the business that you are doing. Then corporate sustainability. For you to be in the system for long and for you to have a lasting bond between the business and its stakeholders, you have to involve in corporate social responsibility. The next slide. So what is CSR in general? When we talk about corporate social responsibility, what is it? This is the voluntary actions that business can take over and above compliance with minimum legal requirements to address both its own competitive interest and the interest of the wider society. So it's a voluntary work, and in terms of doing this voluntary work, you consider your competitive interest and that of the interest of the society as well. An organization obligation to maximize its positive impact and minimize its negative impact on the society. So we can also say that it is an organization obligation to maximize or expand its positive impact and also minimize the negative impact on the society. The next slide, please. So evolution of CSR, my other learned colleagues will continue for me. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I continue with where he has ended. So you are talking about the evolution of CSR. CSR has the roots in philanthropy and charitable giving dating back to the early 20th centuries. These are documentaries and researches findings. Over time, it evolved into a strategic business approach, integrating social and environmental concerns into business operations. Key milestones include 1950 Harvard-Bowen publication of social responsibilities of businessman laid the foundation for modern CSR. In 1970s also and 80s, CSR became more formalized with companies incorporating social interests into business practices. In 1990, globalization and international events led to increased focus on CSR, sustainability, and environmental protection. Next slide, please. CSR is built on several key
I hope
principles.
that you don't get me incensed or annoyed. I sent an earlier rule that you cannot undermine this presentation by reading to the class. You either repent from it or I take stringent measures. Be advised.
Thank you, sir. So social responsibility, as we are talking about, you said, it involves stages and history backing it, as I was saying, and it increased the image of business or the goodwill of business. That is why it evolves and continue evolving in business practices. It also has legal responsibility or connotations that in our modern days, business operates with legal framework that they are to embark on social responsibility, and such regulatory frameworks continue to work in our environment. Ethical responsibility and businesses should act with integrity. In saying so, we are saying that business, when it's established in an environment or in a society or in a community, its acts and performance or operations should render some kind of fairness or equality into the life of the people or of the society. And so they must work with integrity, fairness, and respect for stakeholders. Social responsibility, as you also said, is philanthropic work, which means companies can contribute to societal well-being and development as they operate in those communities or in the society. Next line, please. Hello. So now we look at the driving forces or force of excuse me. The driving force of CSR. We realize that there are competitions in the environment. And so when one company is doing it and the other is not doing it, when one company is doing it and the other is not doing it, it becomes a sort of lack of performance or lack of responsibility or lack of accountability on that firm's part. And so it becomes a driving force that when in an environment when there are business operating, involving in social responsibility also become part of the business. And it is also stakeholders' expectation that business, as it will perform and earn profits, part of it will be invested in the people and the community in which they operate. Now, the same social responsibility and into sustainability, whereby the environment in which they work must be sustained. And so sustainability become also a driving force of business. It also entered or increased the reputation or brand of the business when such response or CSR activities are carried out. Next line, please. Hello. So now let's look at.
We are hearing you.
Okay. So let's look at some of the approaches and also the theories. So we have stakeholder theory, which says that the business or the business must prioritize the interests of stakeholders.
Hello.
Hello.
We decided that I'm going to talk about the approaches or the theories.
Okay. All right, please. Okay, please, Mr. Eba, continue.
So we look at how businesses approach social responsibility. And one of the ways through which businesses approach social responsibility is the stakeholder theory. Now, under the stakeholder theory, businesses look at the interests of all the stakeholders in the community so that they take into consideration what all the stakeholders in the community, what they can provide to the community in general, serving the interests of everyone in the community. This is one of the ways through which companies approach social responsibility in the community. They will look at corporate citizenship. Now, companies see themselves as part of the community. So they take into consideration what can they do to benefit the whole society. That is another approach through which companies undertake corporate social responsibility. They see themselves as corporate citizens. This is where they get their raw materials, they get their revenue from selling to the community. So what can they do to improve the well-being of the society? That is another way through which companies approach corporate social responsibility. They will look at sustainable development. Now we are taking resources from the community. This is where we are undertaking our business operations. What can we do to sustain the environment so that we don't pollute the environment to the detriment of the people in the community? So that is another way through which companies approach corporate social responsibility. They will look at the three bottom line. So companies undertake corporate social responsibility by considering the economic, social, and environmental impact on the society. So economically, what can we do to help the society? What can we do so that we don't destroy the economic activities in the area? Then look at the social impact of our activities and then the social impact on environmental sustainability in the society. So these are the approaches through which most of the companies take when they are undertaking corporate social responsibility. So another person should take over from this place.
Next slide, please. Okay, we are now going to talk about the activities the companies take as part of the SR, CSRs. So the first one we talk about is eradicating extreme hunger and poverty. We can see in our communities that some businesses and companies help farmers with farm products and other things to help them farm and then get more harvest so that it can eradicate and then sometimes solve hunger issues in a community. And then also companies also help promote education as part of their CSRs. Again, they help promote gender equality and empowering women. Yes, some companies and businesses organize seminars and then um, um, I think, yeah, seminars for youths, especially women, and then educate them on gender equality and empowering woman empowerment. The next thing I'll talk about is reducing. They help to reduce child mortality and improving maternal health. So we see companies helping um, pregnant women and then nursing mothers with a whole lot of things. Sometimes they do give them things they will need to help them take care of their children and then things they will need in labor and other things. They donate things to them, most especially in the hospitals. They go to the hospitals and help these people. They support them with some stuff. Okay, they also help in combating HIV/AIDS and then malaria and other diseases. Malaria and other diseases. So we can also even if you've not seen, heard of so many companies helping people with these diseases, and then also helping to fight against it. They educate people on it, and then they help people get to know the consequences of having these diseases. Okay, they also help to ensure environmental sustainability. That is where they do things right to help protect the environment. They don't destroy the environment in the aim of getting their own money and then leaving the environment like that. They do things responsibly to help protect the environment. Okay, they also, thank you. They also help in employment. They help in employment. Our businesses and companies we have help employ youths in a community. For example, if a mining company, or let's say a mining company comes to a community, it is the community members, the youth in the community that come that they employ to work in the community, to work for them. So they also help in employment and enhancing vocational skills. They also help in social business projects. And then also they contribute to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund and any other fund. Yes. So they contribute to national funds. For example, when COVID came, we had COVID funds. We had companies contributing and supporting these projects. So yes, these are some of the activities the businesses take as part of their CSR activities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And let me say that as for the presentation, it was not a good one. But other questions from the house? Okay. If they are now, let's start off with where is it Benedicta ended. You say Prime Minister. Go to that slide. Contribution to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. Who is the Prime Minister of Ghana?
The president.
The president.
The person who answered, are you Benedicta or you are her representation?
Doc, please, the president.
Sir, I am Williams. I'm part of the group.
So you are Benedicta?
Sorry. No, sir. Sorry for that.
Benedicta, who is the Prime Minister of Ghana?
Doc, please, the president.
No, you've not answered my question. So what's the name of the Prime Minister of Ghana?
The name of the Prime Minister of Ghana.
Yes, because you say you contribute to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. So what's the name of that Prime Minister in Ghana? Do you know the Prime Minister, his name? Benedicta, do you know the Prime Minister's name?
Doc, please. I think the mistake we are supposed to write president's government. We are supposed to make it a national relief fund. Yeah, so I think we made a mistake over there. What we are trying to mean is the nation or the government sometimes bring out a funding project to support certain things in the country.
That's correct. Okay. All right. And I heard an explanation to corporate citizenship by Che. Che, what did you say corporate citizenship was? Che.
Yes, lawyer.
Yeah, what did you?
I related my explanation to corporate citizenship. I related it to how businesses would have close contact with the stakeholders, specifically the citizens. That was what I said.
So, what is corporate citizenship?
So, um,
Yes, what is it?
So we can say that is there are responsibilities that are to the society that are beyond profit making.
Okay, you are Che. Are you Che?
Oh no, please, I'm just helping him.
So you are Che.
Oh, no, thank you.
lawyer,
Yes, Che, proceed. Che, any view? All right. Then let me say thank you all for the presentation. I hope, Omar, you get me the list in the order in which the presentation was done and also by groups. I've recorded the marks here, except that there are no index numbers. So I hope, Omar, you get it.
Yes, sir. I've put it on the page. So please, leaders, kindly respond to it, please.
So I'll wait you, Omar. And then I think that, again, on that note, today becomes the last time we'll be meeting for this discussion. Is that correct, Poma? This is the last day for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So let me say that at least for this class, I had about 3 to 5, or maybe 3 to 6 people attending the class. A lot of you have never heard or seen you in our class before, but that is fine. On that note, however, for those who come in, I just know that you've gotten a lot more, and you could tell those who come to class were part of the earlier presentation, but there were snipers of others in the other ones too. But anyhow, I wish you all the best in your quizzes, your exams, and also I'm sure that should you go through the chain, you may meet for some other courses if need be. Otherwise, for ethics and corporate governance, we'll call it a day here. And I'm sure that you represent us all well in the upcoming tests, if any. On that note, thank you all for coming. Tomorrow, for those who do strategic management, we will still start at 12 o'clock. And make sure we don't eat into the time. When it's 20 minutes presentation, please do so for 20 minutes. On that note, if there are no objections, comments, or views, I'd wish to properly end this class. Are there any?
Thank you, sir. We also thank you for so much you have done for us, and we excuse us, please, for our shortcomings in the presentations.
I take it in pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any more? Okay. So, on behalf of the authorities of Code Switch and also for lecturers who handled this course, and yes, the course coordinator whose book guided the whole presentation, the good Professor Abraham Ansel. Regards are extended to you all. And may you all have a happy time and all the best in any of your tests, quizzes, or exams that you write. Just know you put in your best, and I'm very confident that God should handle the rest. I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, lawyer.
Thank you, lawyer. Please, group leaders,
Thank you.
I'm waiting.